Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pest Control Legends. I'm your host, Dan Leibrandt, and today I'm with Jason and Jeremy Julio, better known as the Blue Collar Twins. Jason and Jeremy built Last Bite Mosquito and Tick Control and Total Home Pest Control into a multi-seven-figure operation with 55 techs, all while teaching PE full-time, and have now sold both companies in an eight-figure deal in 2023. Today, they co-host the Boardroom Buzz podcast, advise operators through their Blue Collar Twins platform, and they've already started running the playbook again with a new venture in dog waste removal. In this episode, we're talking about how they scaled while clocking in as teachers, what most owners get wrong before they exit, and why they think dog waste removal is the new mosquito control. Now, without further ado, Jason and Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Dan, thanks for having us, man. Excited to be here. Dan, that's a great intro, man. I love hearing that. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. I told you guys before we started the show here, I see you all over the pest control industry. I saw you, or I actually saw you at Pest World, but we weren't really familiar, so we didn't talk. But I see you on our Facebook group. I see Blue Collar Twins everywhere. So yeah, no, it's great to finally connect with you guys.
Yeah, real quick question. Pest World, this year you were there. You were with Jonas.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was you or not. Are you very tall?
Yes.
Or because you were standing by Jonas and he's really short. So I don't know if.
Yeah, we're pretty tall.
Okay.
But Jake is tall too, so that might have been him too. People sometimes mistake me and Jake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
You guys are tall too, right?
6'1", he's 6 foot, I'm 6'1", so yeah.
Okay, cool. So, sweet. I want to start the show by asking, how'd you guys get into pest control? How did this whole thing start with you guys?
So it was back in 2010. I guess Jason and I were hanging out at my house, and Jason came to me with the idea. He said, "What do you think about starting a mosquito and tick control company?" But prior to that, you got to let's paint the picture. We're both educators. We've been teaching, let's say, 12, 13 years at the time,
Mhm.
managing beach clubs in the summer. So we're teaching full time. We're coaching 3 sports. We're managing large beach clubs, and we're working around the clock. And you know, I came across this like magazine or something, and there was an ad for a franchise or whatever. And I brought it up to my brother, and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know anything about mosquitoes. I didn't even think there was a service for it." And dove into it a little bit. I said, if we're going to do this, I don't want to go the franchise route. And the reason why is because of the royalties. You get kind of handcuffed. You have to buy everything from there. They have all the control. It's like, listen, if we're going to roll the dice, let's just do it ourselves. We'll come up with a name. We'll do our research. We'll build relationships. And that's what we did with one truck and idea. And that's one thing I felt that we really had in our back pocket, maybe not really realizing at the time, was it was our network, right? You know, between
Mm.
being in education, coaching all these youth teams, high school teams, managing the beach club and working on the beaches and the public beaches in the areas that we're at, we had a huge network of supporters and people that wanted to see us grow, but then also the customer service that we naturally had through, I guess, like our upbringing and really looking up to other people and really focusing on like respect and kindness and treating people fairly. I think that had a lot to do with like, you know, maybe the jump start, right? Yeah.
Mm. I find it so fascinating that you guys were PE teachers, then you start building this company, then you continue to grow it and massively scale it up to, $5 million plus, and yet you stayed PE teachers. I mean, how does that work? Can you explain that?
So, I mean, up until probably year 3 or 4, I mean, I was doing a lot of different, other than teaching, I was still running this business as it was growing, probably maybe 15 trucks on the road, still bartending, still coaching. Jason, I think, stopped the summer gig before I did. But listen, it wasn't easy. We were answering all the phone calls. We were doing all the sales. We were training technicians. But what that allowed us to do, Dan, was that we were able to live off of our income from our teaching job, from the coaching, from the beach club, and reinvest our earnings, our profits back into the business for the first 3 years, right? That allowed us to kind of bypass some early on growing pains, where
Mm,
some technicians, some operators kind of get stuck because they're the only technician and they need that money to survive and take care of their family. They can't reinvest that money. They don't know how to. We had that opportunity to be able to do it. And if it was the other way around, I don't know if how I would have necessarily done that either, because I mean, we live in an expensive area. I mean, I'm sure there's ways to do it, but you just got to work hard. But yeah, so um that was that's what kind of helped us kind of catapult those first 3 years, was by reinvesting that money.
mm. Well, it is definitely a nice, fresh perspective because I see a lot of people in the industry say, "Oh, you have to quit your job, you have to go all in on your business." But yet you guys didn't need to do that. So would that be your same advice to other people that are maybe a tech right now and they want to start their company? Should they stay a tech
They should they say tech? I
or
was
stay with whatever their job is?
As long as you have the right employees and you put the right people in place, I think you can definitely do it.
Hmm. Is the purpose for staying a PE teacher for the income or because you guys genuinely like it?
Yeah, we need the money. No. Well, Jeremy says this all the time, and part of me believes in it also. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. A big part of our upbringing was our teachers, our coaches, the educators in our lives, the people that we looked up to, and they helped give us direction in different things. They're the guys that got us on the beaches and when we were 14 years old, lifeguard, and they're the ones that got us into sports and into colleges. My Willie Jacobs, my senior year, our phys ed teacher and football coach let me borrow his car as a senior and drive to a college recruit day. Uh, was that CCNJ? That was CCNJ. So he let us do that. Who does that? Other than guys
Hmm.
that trust you and want to see you do well. And that's the type of that's what we want to give back to the people that we're with. So we're passionate about what we do. We want to give back to our communities. We want to be those role models, and we share a story with our students all the time. We let them know you know how we grew up and the what we went through and how we got to where we are today, and that they could do the same exact thing, with drive, persistency, um, and hard work.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I really respect that. And obviously you don't need the money now. That I didn't mean that, but kind of
No,
earlier in the
yeah.
journey. So how long did you guys have the mosquito business?
Call it 10 years. Yeah,
We
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 no 10 years. So back to your other point. I'm sorry. So I didn't touch on this. What allowed us to keep our teaching job uh, was the fact that we had an amazing team, between Margot, Marissa, Anthony, Andy. We had an amazing team of employees that managed our operation. We met with them daily, after work on the phone. We had weekly meetings. We did things, and we owned our roles. Um, and we created this awesome system and business that allowed us to still maintain our teaching jobs. So there was no reason for us to give up our teaching jobs, outside of possibly trying to scale outside of New Jersey. And scaling within New Jersey was hard enough for us, and there was enough stress involved in that I didn't want to, take it past that level. So that was, I felt like I left it out from that last question.
No, cool. I appreciate that. Okay, so you guys have been in business, or you were in business for 10 years. Walk me through those first few years, especially as also having a job. What was that like, and was it tough?
It was tough. It wasn't easy. You're going around the clock. I remember it like yesterday. I was sitting at my kitchen table. My newborn's running around. Just got back in from a full day of work, and I'm on my phone looking at my contact list, calling people up, trying to sell the business. You know,
Mm.
th- so that was just, I mean, the beginning, and then well, also, thinking about not having any business experience either, right? Like we had zero business experience. We didn't know necessarily what we didn't know, and we had a lot of learning, throughout the process. We built our own website. We did our own marketing. We designed all of our marketing pieces, right? We trained our technicians. We did everything that we programmed the CRM. So
Mm.
we had to learn the hard way just by kind of doing it. And, looking at what is offered today between, the pest control millionaire and everything else that is offered out in the world, there's a lot of, good information out there that people could kind of lean into.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you as a follow-up to that. So it was definitely hard starting out. You guys were doing everything on your own. What were some of the breakthroughs across the journey? Were there ever any pivotal moments?
One of my uh, pivotal moments was when I was like, all right, they don't necessarily need me anymore to do things. All right. Like if I want to take 3 days off and you don't call me, and they could operate this business without necessarily leaning on me. That was kind of like a breath of fresh air, and that was nice for me. But that didn't happen until year 7, year 8, where you were really like, right. So, but that was for me, that moment, that breakthrough. Yeah. My breakthrough, and I remember this like was yesterday, where I was vacationing in Puerto Rico, and my phone, it was beginning of the season, just keeps on binging and dinging and dinging and dinging. And what that was our auto renewals going off. And it was like one after another, one after another, one after another. I was like, wow, this is really working. And that was the first year we did, and I don't know, it was the first year we did auto pay, but it was through PayPal, and it was just on auto renewal, and we just got lit up. Yeah. Our the way we operate our business is, I think, a little different than how most people do it. And I'm not too sure. Dan, you may be able to answer this. How many businesses? So I want to say we were probably like 70 to 80% auto renewed year after year. We were paid in full. So I'll give you an example. Maybe we in our last year, probably we were flush maybe $3 million coming into February, right?
Wow.
Like we could operate our business stress free, because we knew payroll was covered, our chemical expense was covered, our marketing expense, and then everything else after that was just gravy. It was new customers growing, and we could just focus on the growth of the business versus how are we going to make payroll, how are we going to afford new trucks, yeah, all those things, right? That come with owning a business. So, but being, having all that capital and cash flux in the beginning was huge for us.
Mm. Wow, that's incredible. And at least one point to make there is most owners that I talk to, I feel like kind of the standard now, or what a lot of people are pushing towards, is charging monthly. So you're saying that you got people prepaid for the year, and that was 70 to
We
80%.
offered it wasn't everyone. It was those people who wanted to save, 20% to 20% on the season. But that
Oh,
20% was everything for
yeah.
peace of mind. That was nice.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I feel like, I don't know for sure, but I feel like most owners don't provide something like that. So you said something like 20% off to pay for the whole year?
Right. And
Okay.
then,
So,
and then if they didn't pay by January, then every month after that 20% went from 20 to 18 to 15 to 12 to 10 to 5, and then the season would be running and operating.
gotcha. Yeah. No, that definitely gives you a lot of cash reserves, and now you can not play it safe, but now you have some room to maneuver. And I think, and part of that is that you guys were solely Mosquito, which you talked a little bit about, how you happen to start it, but I mean, why start Mosquito and why stay Mosquito? Hey guys, Dan Leibrandt here. Real quick, if you're a pest control owner looking to grow, I have two amazing resources for you. Number one is our free Pest Control Millionaires Facebook group. We have over 3,000 owners just like you in our community and would love for you to be a part of it. Just go search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook and request to join the group now. Number two is our book, Zip Code Kings. This was authored by me, Jonas Olson, and Jake Sheldon to be the ultimate guide to pest control marketing. We discuss everything from branding and traditional marketing to local SEO and Facebook ads. Go to Amazon and search Zip Code Kings to get your copy today. Now, that being said, let's get back to the show.
Well, we pivoted and ended up acquiring a full pest control company called Total Home Pest Control. We started with Pest Control, which is that was the franchise that you.
So that was the franchise that we're looking at, and there was nothing like that. If you look around, there's typical pest control companies, kind of like everywhere. Could have they all been improved on? Could we start a pest control company? Yes, but again, we were very busy, and for us to say, all right, all I need is one license 8A or B or 8B, whatever 8B it was.
Yeah, and other, like Jason said, like other people in New Jersey and around us service for mosquitoes, but we could tell people that we were the professionals, so we only focused on.
But no one knew what it was. So they were like, huh, what is this? And then we went ahead and offered 100 free services out to 100 of our closest friends, that network of people that we knew. And they're like, mosquito control, what's this? Yeah, sure. I hate mosquitoes. We service a yard, not know if it was going to work. And it worked. People were hooked. People saw our signs on people's yards, and they were like, "What's that? Oh, that's Jeremy and Jason Julio's new company, Last Bite Mosquito. Check them out." And then we also had a very high. We had a incentive program that we started when we first started the business, where we're giving like $100 referrals to all of our. Maybe not. Was it that much?
It's
or no?
$20.
All right. So
Exaggerated
just a little bit, but $20 referral card to people who were referring us, and they were referring us, and that was working. It's
people who were getting over $100 in referrals because we're referring.
And I guess that's relative or similar to what Clicky is like now, right? Like Clicky is a big for businesses, which is pretty cool, and I'm gonna look into it for Ruff Stuff. But yeah, where was I at?
Referrals.
No, I'll mention something there. So it's funny because you said that, there's maybe a lot of pest control companies in the area, but you know that you can be the expert in mosquito. It's funny because that's basically what I've done with my agency. I continued to niche down. When I started my journey, I was just doing copywriting for anyone and anyone, any kind of copy for any kind of client. Then I was doing any kind of marketing for local businesses, then home services, then pest control, then only SEO for pest control, let's say. And I feel like it's pretty common in the digital marketing agency space that I'm in, but I feel like it's not very common in the home services space, especially pest control, niching down on maybe, I'm going to become the best at termite control or mosquito control or whatever it is. Would you guys recommend other companies go that route too, of maybe specialize in a service?
I don't see it staying that way. Maybe other services, but for pest control, so we went from mosquito control, and I think we were one of the first people that added on tick control. So now we're mosquito and tick, right? We started advertising that. We got that added service. And then eventually we bought a pest control company. And the way I'm seeing it is now you have all these mosquito and tick control. I think now a lot of these businesses, what they should do is market it like an exterior pest control. You have exterior pest control and interior pest control. So now it's not just mosquitoes, it's everything outside, right? So because we would get calls for gnats or for other flying flies or other flying insects that were a nuisance, and they didn't just want mosquito control, they don't want any bugs outside anymore, right? And so if I had to give advice, if I would target like an exterior outdoor kind of package, and then you do your indoor extermination differently, and you kind of bundle or package it one way or another. But I feel like the niche down to just mosquito, I think there's a lot more people who are involved now than they were when I first started. And I think general pest control company can compete and offer a really nice bundle, and they could get everything taken care of all at once.
Okay, got it. And I mean, part of that too, of niching down, like you think of maybe how Amazon got started. Amazon didn't start by distributing all kinds of products. They started only selling books. So eventually you grow out of your niche. So maybe that's
People
the case
forget
too.
that. Yeah. Amazon's just books. That's wild, right?
Yeah. Facebook was just students at Harvard, I believe, or wherever Mark Zuckerberg was at. And then it was all college students, and then it was all young people, and now it's everyone. So I've
Right.
noticed it in like all companies. Yeah.
So like you said, maybe you start like as that niche, right? That niche, and then you kind of work your way into like a bigger, more. And that's kind of like what we did also, right? We started the mosquito tick, and then all around this just general pest control.
Definitely. So you guys later in the journey, maybe you said 7 or 8 years in the business, you had a partnership with this pest control company, but then you acquired them and scaled it. I think you grew it from like 100K to 1 million. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so when we had Last Bite Mosquito and tick control, a lot of our customers they loved their service. They wanted to know if we would take care of their rodent or their ants, or they had interior, and we referred all that business to Turner Pest Control, which we later acquired.
Right.
So yeah.
It was an easy transition for us because of the relationships we had. So at that time, we may have had 5,000 mosquito customers. All we have to do now is just like send an email saying, "Hey, we now own a pest control company." And it was an interesting way that we did it. And I was really like kind of torn whether or not I wanted to mess with our brand of Last Bite Mosquito and Tick Control, and just make it just a pest control company, one whole pest control company. But I didn't, because of our reputation and our branding and how everyone viewed us. So then when we bought this company, I made it a sister company, and we named it Total Home Pest Control, a Last Bite company. So that was a little thing underneath it. So now we just kind of cross marketed it to both companies, and it just kind of quickly a half a technician to 5 technicians, 5 trucks, and $1 million.
That's awesome.
In a pretty quick amount of time. I want to say we owned it for about 3 or 4 years. But what blows my, after, being deeply or more deeply involved now, more than we ever were in the pest control industry. Prior to selling, we were just kind of localized in New Jersey, and I had several relationships with people throughout this, the country, just as kind of like relationships that we built throughout the years to kind of like help each other and coach each other. Door-to-door marketing and the way these guys are scaling nowadays is just mind-boggling. It blows my mind that we were able to take a pest control company and get it to $1 million in like 3, 4, 5 years, and there's guys that are doing 5, 10 million in a year. That is crazy.
Yeah, just the first year they can do this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. So some of the scale I hear from these guys, and you're right, a lot of it is door to door as well. It's a very easy way not easy way, but it's a way to scale very fast.
It's a way. It's a stressful, scary way. From my perspective.
Yeah, and you have to do it the right way, right? You have to do it with integrity. You have to do it where that a lot of these door to door guys, they're selling anything, right? And with overpromise, underdeliver,
right? But I think a lot of the guys that we've talked to and we've built relationships, they're figuring it out, right? I think they're figuring out a model to really. I know some of them are building like as a jump start, and then they maintain those relationships, and they get a base, and then they kind of go from there.
They put the door to door on hold.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, definitely don't sell yourself short, because I mean, 90% plus of business owners have never hit the $1 million mark, and you guys have way surpassed that. You got an exit that most people dream of. All the people in our group are, maybe 200K to $1 million. Most people that watch this podcast are maybe 0 to 500K, or maybe even haven't even started yet. So you guys have definitely done something impressive, and I think it's worth noting that.
Oh, thank you,
buddy.
That means a
Yeah,
lot. Thank
of
you.
course, of course. And you said that it wasn't that impressive to maybe do 0 to 1 million in a few years, but I think a lot of people would be happy to do that. So how did you do that? How did you go from 0 to 1 million in that time period?
We had a really fun social media presence, and I know a lot of people do it now. We who are those guys? Nice is doing a nice job
they're
with
good.
it. Dennis down in Florida, he has a nice Instagram following. We did fun ads on social media. We infiltrated those groups. That was, I think, one of our biggest ways to do it. I know my sister-in-law would always say, why can't you just get someone else to do that? But me and my brother were always involved in these groups, like infiltrating them and building not building relationships, but we were the ones speaking to our customers, right? And we always felt that was important, outside of somebody else just doing that. So that's somewhat of like a guerrilla marketing tactic. But again, the cross marketing was huge, and our relationships that we had, being an identical twin in our area and building the type of relationships that we built, getting involved in those chambers of commerces and getting involved in the community. We were very ingrained into the community. We have a scholarship for the high schools. We give back, on the Thanksgiving and Christmas, and
this was multiple communities.
Right.
It wasn't just the one community that we grew up in. We spread ourselves out. Another thing we did was we had satellite locations, which now we have trucks in all different spots in New Jersey, and we've strategically hired and set people up with Last Bite trucks.
And I don't think people celebrate those things. I think we're doing a good deed for people in the community. Why not celebrate and share it with the world, right? On the social media, and on social media, versus, we're doing it for the good of our heart, but we're also able to capitalize off of, showing everybody else that we're doing this as well. Which was, we did that a lot. We talked about it a little bit prior, but the same way we celebrated the holidays, we celebrated these extreme events. What would we call them?
Extreme fundraiser events.
Yeah. So we rode a boat from Cape May to Sandy Hook, 132 miles. We rode our bikes, our road bikes, from New York to Cape May. Stand-up paddle. Where was that?
From New Jersey to Delaware, around Manhattan twice. We did 4x4x48.
So all these hard, we put that out there, and we got state news coverage, right? We were on the
Wow.
So
the Julio brothers, Jeremy and Jason Julio, business owners of Last Bite, Mosquito, and Tick Control, riding our bikes from the tip of New Jersey, all for a great cause, the Limelight Foundation. And people hear that, people see that. We raised over $100,000 for all these different organizations, Eli Manning, and all these big organizations. So I think that went a long way also in terms of brand recognition and getting involved, getting out into the community.
Wow, that's incredible. No, I knew you guys did those things, but I didn't know it also correlated to business growth. I think that's so awesome. And I think even though people might not want to row 132 miles, or what was it, biking 200 miles, or running, jogging?
217 miles.
It's almost as good as Jonas working out in the gym, doing his muscle. He's a hard worker. He works out hard, Jonas.
Yeah, Jonas is in the gym every day, like 5 a.m. Me and Jake were around his place in Escanaba, and he's like, "Oh, really? You guys didn't wake up and get a lift in before we started recording stuff?" So, yeah, he's definitely grinding too. But yeah, I think there is something to be taken away from that for people. Maybe they don't have an identical twin, or that maybe they don't want to do some crazy extreme activities, but I totally agree with that. Getting involved in the community, doing something unique that will get local awareness, find a way to be different, find a way to be unique. And it seems like you guys are just playing into your strengths of being athletes and being twins.
Oh, another cool thing we did, and again, other businesses do this as well. We give out nice stuff to customers, to friends, to family, something that we know that they would wear, right? Versus just like this, like stiff, hard, boxy T-shirt that they're not going to wear. We give out nice quality shirts, T-shirts, hats that and when we give it to them, hey, listen, if you're going to wear it, great. If not, just let us know. We'll give it to somebody else, right? And then they walk around wearing this stuff.
Yeah, I have students. If you go to my truck when we had last bite, or even now with Ruff Stuff, my truck is filled with apparel, nice apparel. So I'll give it to students. I'll give it to people like friends and family, customers, just anyone who I know that would wear it. Free marketing.
What's the best kind of apparel? Because there's so many different kinds. You could give people mugs, you could give people hats, hoodies. What have you guys seen works best and what people use most?
He's got this nice sweatshirt on. I think a lot of people like wearing, a nice quality sweatshirt.
Sweatshirts, T-shirts. If you have a nice hat, we used to get legacy hats, give those out. There's a little pricey, but again, if you get an exposure.
Love that. Cool. So you guys ran the company for 10 years. We talked about the acquisition a little bit, growing that pest control company. Then you sold. Walk me through the acquisition. Was it on your minds, and how did that go?
So for me, from what I remember, we had several like situations that were pretty stressful. We had a situation where we got sued for supposedly killing someone's landscaping on like $70,000 worth of landscaping. You're right. So
that was the first headache.
That was one of the first headaches, dealing with major car accidents. When you have these guys that are working hard for you, and then there's accidents and potential, injuries, that was stressful.
And you got to remember too, Dan, there were days we had 500 jobs in a day. All right, you have 500 jobs in a day. Something bad like that happens. You have rain in a forecast. You have technicians not showing up for work. Now the next day you have to push them to the next day. So now you have 1,000 customers that you have to do because you had 500 the day after that. So, I mean, and listen, I wasn't dealing with those headaches, but they were still, at the end of the day, I'm hearing about them.
They're looking for answers, right? So, you deal with a couple of these things. And then my buddy down in Georgia, Ryan Cladisberg of Mr. Mister, he was about a year ahead of us in growth. And he actually was going through the process and sold his business to Terminix. As he's going through that, we're building this relationship. I send my team down to him, and you kind of learn to how they went about like their operations, and we just continually learn from each other. And I knew that he was selling his business and what that looked like, and he introduced me to Potomac and the Boardroom Buzz. I started listening to the Boardroom Buzz. And what those guys had to do. Prior to that, I was reaching out whenever I had a crazy situation. I would reach out to Orkin's M&A guy and emailing him and be like, just to see if there's going to be any kind of conversation and what my options were to possibly exit, right? And probably at that time, I would have took like $2 million, and I would have been good, right? But thank God I didn't. They didn't call me back, or maybe they did, and it was a brief conversation. So Ryan Cladisberg kind of showed me the ropes. And again, as I see what he was going through with his exit and his sale and how awesome Potomac was with them, I ended up reaching out to Franco and to Paul Gianamore, and, started building a relationship with them, and, letting them know kind of like, once you start to go down this road, you need to have an idea. When I remember once someone said, "Hey, so what's your exit strategy?" I'm like, I don't even know what an exit strategy is. I built this business just thinking that we were just going to kind of get a truck and a technician, and let's see where this goes. I didn't necessarily really foresee this. I had faith in it, but So when this time came, I was like, all right, so what is it going to take for me to maintain the current lifestyle that I have, where I can travel 3 times a year, uh, live the life I want to live in the house, the neighborhood, do the things that I want to do for the rest of my life? What's that number look like? And, I had these conversations with Paul and Franco, and they're like, all right, well, you're about a year away, before we could possibly get you these numbers. We sat down prior to me, again, connecting with Potomac. We sat down with Paul Bergman, the president of Viking at the time, and had a conversation. And he was like, I'll probably buy you guys one day. So as we were going through this process of due diligence and putting SIM together and going through this whole process, it is a lot of work. It can be stressful. But as we're going through this process, we go to market, and we're not kind of necessarily getting what we want. And between Franco and Paul, they're like, hey, listen, be patient. Something's going to happen. And originally, Viking came in with this really not great offer. And with the guidance, Paul, and again, with Franco being the bulldog he is, he's like, fuck them or whatever. Like, that's not where you want to be, and you don't have to take it, And then they helped us put things in place to make us a little bit more appeasing or appetizing to Viking. And they structured this deal that got us to that number, that magic number, that where I know that if we sold a business, and then with paying taxes and all the different things that are involved with an M&A, with an acquisition, that I was still going to be able to take this money, put it in an account, and be good for a long, long time. So that's what that process was like. It was for us. I know deals that are open and closed within 3 to 5 months, but our deal was a little bit longer because you also got to consider what type of business we were. We were a seasonal business with seasonal employees. We had the general pest control also, but a majority of our business was seasonal, right? So we had to prove to them that our customer base was loyal, and that we were going to retain them year after year. So we had the deal that we had a 1 year earnout. So we had to hit a certain number. We had to surpass, I want to say, 5 million. And then we also had to have like 80-something% retention. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But Viking was amazing to work with. Paul was an amazing guy to work with. They stood up to everything that they said they were going to do. Franco was with us the whole way. So yeah, it was a neat experience. It was, again, Margot, my main assistant, operating manager. She was incredible along the way also. So having someone like her made it a lot easier also.
Well, I'm glad it went well. I've talked to a lot of owners, and I've heard a lot of nightmare stories around selling your business or maybe even acquiring other businesses. What advice would you guys give to people that are looking to sell?
I would make sure you have everything in order. Have your books in order. Cash is no good because they're going to want to see every single penny. Know what you want. My thing is, know that number that you want to walk away with, right? And build your business to that. Otherwise, I mean, like, you're doing this for a reason. I would know your number that it's going to be able to take for you to kind of walk away, and then aim for that. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and this has been a recurring theme on the show of reverse engineering your goals. I feel like, again, I talk to all these owners that are stuck and looking to grow, and part of the problem is just they don't know what they want. And maybe part of that is just they're stuck in the truck all the time. They're busy, that they don't have any time to think. But I think you'd agree that that's really the key, is like, number one, figure out what you want and then make that happen.
Right. I also think that some people are scared of what's on the other side of walking away and not knowing what to do. When we sold the business, we're still teaching again because we're passionate about it. But even with just teaching, we look at teaching as a part-time job. We're from 7 to 2 o'clock. Um, you get bored, so that's why we're still doing this. That's why we're involved and still helping, right? But you take some chips off the table, right? Now I have security and I don't have all those liabilities and those stresses that were involved within that business. I know a guy that has this huge business, and I know that's relative, but let's say it's 50 plus million. And he sends me this text message of his sales guy cursing out, cursing off one of the customers. Like, that's something you don't want to deal with. Or like me again, them sending me pictures of major accidents, and those are stressful situations that could destroy a business, right?
Yeah, but also people handle those things differently, right? I remember when the first time we got sued, we talked to another guy and was like, "Hey, listen, this is not going to be the last time. You guys get used to it. People who grow businesses, their accidents are going to happen. You're going to have bad employees, and it's all about how you deal with them."
Right. And you're right that everybody handles things differently, but that's something I knew that I didn't want to handle anymore.
Mm. Is there around your selling your business, is there anything you guys regret?
I don't.
I don't have any regrets about selling the business. I know Jeremy would have sold the business probably sooner than I actually pulled the trigger to sell the business.
Maybe a year before.
Yeah. But I have no regrets. I think we sold it at the right exact time. I think we got a really good number for it. Yeah, I don't have any regrets with selling the business. And then, like we did, we started another business. So, after capitalizing off of one thing and stepping back and realizing, hey, listen, I do want to be involved, but not at the same extent that I was with Last Bite. Now, so we started a business called Ruff Stuff, poop dog waste removal company, and the reason why we started it was because we have an awesome team of employees that worked for us who wanted to get involved in something else down the road, and they're knocking on a door. When are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? I'm like, I don't know, and then finally we're like, all right, well, let's do this. I made them partners. I gifted them equity, but it's sweat equity. So they're going to have to work, and they have to, they're managing and operating the day-to-day of this business. I'm helping from the sideline. I'm having my daily conversations with them. But what's really cool about this business, Dan, is that I look at it the same way I looked at mosquito control when we first started. I was like, is this really going to work? Like, are people going to really pay for people to go in the backyard and pick up dog waste? And year two, we have 500 plus customers. We've got almost 250 5-star reviews on Google.
5 trucks on the road.
We have amazing employees, and it's going great. But it's also a lot easier. You don't have to deal with licensing. You don't have to deal with the DEP or overspray and drift and chemicals. And it's just a lot easier, and I have an amazing team running it. So we are involved, and we're doing this podcast. So by any means, I'm not bored anymore, and we're involved still. So it's nice. No regrets.
Awesome. Yeah. Poop scoop is a super interesting industry. Poop scoop, dog waste, whatever you want to call it. Why choose that of all home services or other businesses?
Same reason we did mosquitoes, because there's not a lot of players in the space. There's not a lot of competition, and whatever ones are, they're franchises, and we have a leg up because I think franchises, they have call centers, and we have amazing customer service, which sets us apart from a lot of these local businesses, not local businesses, but from these franchises. And we're good at marketing and branding, and we have already established that through the Guerrilla style marketing that we do. So to answer your question, why dog waste removal? Because nobody else was really doing it. We're doing it the way we would be doing it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the way I would put that or consolidate that is filling gaps in the market, which is super smart. And I feel like most people maybe they hear of a business idea from a friend, or they really want to do this thing, but it should actually be whatever the market wants. If you have a local business, if you want to get into home services, I mean, pick the one that has the most opportunity, that people need, that are underserved, that there aren't any good businesses, all of that. So I think that's really smart. And people should think more of that way, of not what I want, but what do the people need and want.
Right. Yeah. That gap, like you said. Whenever I travel, I try and look around and see what do they have that we don't have, right? And what do they have that people are lining up for that we don't have? And I feel those are ways to find opportunities as well.
Absolutely. Something else I wanted to cover, which I feel like is almost the elephant in the room. So most people I just interview one person. You guys are identical twins. How does that work? I mean, I was watching a ton of podcasts you guys have been on, like Jonas's and Paul's, and it seems like everything goes well, and you guys have always done everything together. How does that relationship work? How do you manage being twins and doing all this stuff together?
I think it comes natural for us because we've been doing it our whole life, in that we've accepted each other's roles. When we first got into business, it was hard. It was hard to kind of, figure out what hat each other was going to wear. There was some rough times, but I think at the end of the day, we figured it out and worked through these situations. We spend every day of our lives together, from infancy till even now. We went to college together. We operate these businesses together.
We live down the street from each other.
I think that we do. I think that his wife loves me more than him. No, I'm just joking. My wife is listening, by the way.
Do the wives ever confuse you two?
Just Maria.
No, uses me all the time.
I think we've really figured out each other's personalities at this point of our lives. We're different people, for sure. We have the same values, but Jeremy is tremendous at working a room and building relationships outside. I prefer to build one-on-one relationships better. I don't like being in big rooms, and I do for a short amount of time, but I get over it very quickly. If I walked into a bar with Jeremy, he'd be gone. He'd walk around the whole bar 10 times and say hello to 100 people. I'm walking in and I'm sitting down and I don't want to go anywhere. That's the difference between him and I. So, we learned each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we built off of that. What do you think?
Oh, I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more like you, Jason. I'm more introverted. So Jeremy's the extrovert.
Right. And I just found out there's one in between. I forget what it's called.
What's it called? Yeah. Who told us about that?
It's not introvert. It's I mentioned it's an optiverse or something like that. There's one that's in between that really I read. I'm like, wow, that's me. I had a coach in me and say I do some business consulting, and I entered that realm just to kind of see if I would enjoy it. And I built some nice relationships with a couple operators, and I talked to 3. That's it, and that was enough for me because after an hour conversation, I'm drained just because that's all I have. I don't have more than that. And I'm happy with that. And same thing with kind of going out and I don't like to small talk too much. I end up just getting uncomfortable. So, but Jeremy's very good at that. He kind of thrives on it and he's comfortable with it. And, so yeah, I think I'm that middle one. I don't know what it's called though.
It sounds like you're an introvert. Which I'm the same way. Trust me. It's no diss. I can only spend so long talking to people. I need a lot of alone time, and that helps me do my own thing. There's pros and cons to both sides, and it's on a spectrum as well. You're not 100% introvert or extrovert. You might be 80% introverted, and then you still have some of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you guys about now the Boardroom Buzz. So that was originally Paul's podcast. Now you guys have taken that over. We were talking about the background story before the show. I wanted to ask you, since you have such a unique perspective here, and I think pretty much all podcast hosts do, especially when it's niche like this, is, let's say you've done, over 50 interviews in the past year of a lot of the top people in the industry. What are some of the top lessons you two have learned from the people that you've interviewed?
It's a great question because there's so much. You've had so many great guests on with a lot of good.
I think one of the things that I feel that I've learned or pulled from listening to a lot of these operators, though, is that they're not scared to fail. And I think that, and they learn from their mistakes. I was always big at learning from other people's mistakes, and I try to to make as many mistakes as possible. I'm sure a lot of people do, but I'm a lot more cautious. When we started our business, it was a $7,000 investment for us. So, and probably at the time that was a lot of money for me. But looking at what some people spend for investing in a business or themselves, it's tremendous. Talking to Jonas, the amount of money he probably spent on going to what was his name?
Hermosi.
Right, Hermosi. Like that's next level, right? But it's an opportunity for him to learn. Hopefully he gets something for it and implements those things and pulls some levers, and I'm sure he does. That's not something if I could be making $5 million a year and I'm not doing that. That's not how I'd like to spend my money or the risk I take. Listen to some of these door-to-door guys and the risk and the way they're able to operate on, operating the business on debt to find customers and, maybe only hold on to them for a year and then lose that. That's stressful, and then try and regain that year after year and keep that same path. It's crazy, but I think that's one of the things I learned from hosting these guys and listening to all these amazing guys' stories is that they're not scared to take chances and to bet on themselves, and they're going to bet on themselves because they believe in themselves. And if they do fall, they're going to learn and they're going to get back up and they're going to go do it again. Better,
Yeah. So more risk, more reward.
Right. Yeah. And then the confidence too, just like Jeremy says, a lot of these guys are confident in what they're doing and believe in themselves and their teams and their systems that they have in place. They're hardworking, right? It's not for the faint or for, they're working, they're putting in the hours. Some people, they say that they want it, but do they, right? Are they willing to work 7 days a week and not have an off switch? That's what we did for 10 years. We didn't have an off switch. We worked every day. We were involved. It was our baby. It was a real thing. They have real goals. They have real values and they stick to them. I think that's another thing that these operators have as well.
Anything to add, Jeremy?
He nailed it. Yeah. So Jason's very good at talking. He's very good at talking and
rambling.
Yeah, no, he does a great job.
No, not rambling at all. That was
everything
great.
that he just said.
Awesome. Cool. Something else I want to jump back to, which I feel like I kind of glossed over, is the different ways you guys were growing the company and, built it to over $5 million plus. And one aspect, which we could, I don't know, maybe target 2 or 3 aspects here, but one is you said you were really heavy in groups, but I'm sure a lot of people don't even know exactly what you mean. I assume that's Facebook groups, but could you expand on what exactly you're doing?
So in Facebook groups, we'll post something on our Facebook page, and then we'll just share it to any community that we're in. So we're in Long Branch, Fairhaven, Homedale, any county, any town that you are doing business in. I'm searching for a group in that area. And then we will share the posts that we have on our homepage to their page. And we would do that weekly.
Nice.
And then hopefully, our wives or friends would go in and they're like, oh, this is a great company. And then our customers would chime in. Oh, these guys are great. You go onto them and be like, last bet. They would end up, following up with a promotion for us.
Because then once you join those groups and someone says, All right, who do you guys use for mosquito control? Next thing you know, Last Bite, I see it. I get a notification about it. I jump on it. Hi, I'm the owner of Last Bite. Jason, you have any questions? We've got, check out our reputation, blah, blah, blah. And we're all over it. So, those are the little things we would do in those social media groups. But I mentioned like the fun ads. We have ones where like we would do like a Western showdown with a mosquito in a mosquito costume and looking down the barrel of a mosquito blower. All those fun things. The Mortal Kombat one, that was fun. Like, a Mortal Kombat video game, and we'd have a mosquito, and then Jeremy and I like duplicating, and then we're like kind of jumping around, and then we end up finishing them. Silly things like that. You gotta have fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you come up with those ideas for the social posts? Because it seemed like they were super creative. All these different ideas. Where'd they come from?
Before we scheduled our appointment with our media person to come over and record, Jason and I would sit down and pitch some ideas, different ideas. I'm just driving and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, Jeremy was pretty good at that. He has a pretty creative mind, and and still to this day, a lot of people would send stuff our way in terms of ideas for either Ruff Stuff or for, in the past, Last Bite. And Jeremy like, this is garbage. And then he'd follow up with his ideas, and those are the ideas that we would end up going with, and they were actually pretty good. I mean, actually pretty good. They were good. Yeah.
A lot of owners that I talk to, or maybe even seeing engage in the Facebook group, will say that social media is a waste of time. What do you say to those people?
It's where people live. People live on their phones between Instagram. You look at people's screen time as a parent. I look at my daughters, and I'm pretty on top of it. I think 4 hours is a lot, but that's what she gets. She gets 4 hours of screen time. She's a 14-year-old girl, and that's how they communicate with their friends. My wife, if you looked at her screen time, and I'm worried to look at it, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't 6 or 8 hours, right? And what they're doing with those 6 to 8 hours is not writing emails or doing work. They're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, and that's where you got to target them. You have to target them on what they're looking at. In the past, people would have promotions on commercials on TV. People don't watch TV anymore. I sit on my couch and I'll watch something on my phone or my iPad, and that's where you need to target them. Where you're gonna get them to kind of see what you're doing. We used to do Valpak. That's garbage now. No one's doing that anymore. Remember, do you
used to do what?
Valpak? Mailers, like in the envelope. Yeah, we did billboards. We had fun with the billboards. Strategically put them around the state. I think door hangers are good. I don't necessarily believe on door to door, but I think if you can get door hangers on people's doors, I think that's a huge thing. If you could kind of get something creative and engage in not your traditional door hanger, but something good. I think door hangers are good because in order for them to, they're going to have to take it off, right? And it's not shuffled in a whole bunch of mail. I think that's a good way to kind of target people.
I think on Jonas's show, you mentioned yard signs too. Did those work well?
They did. Yeah, they did for us because with pest control, you're supposed to leave flags behind. So we felt like if we're going to leave a flag behind, it's going to be a nice flag. And if you drove around our towns or anywhere we service within New Jersey, you would see thousands of these yard signs that said Last Bite. And, not only does the customer see it, but everybody else sees it because they tell us, oh, we saw your sign. We see your signs everywhere. And then people get like the fear of missing out, and they want a sign on their property. So they call up and get the service because now the whole neighborhood needs it. I can't not have it. We have had the situations where I don't need your service because you do everyone else's house in the neighborhood. Why, there's no more bugs.
Yeah. I found that the signal to know that you're doing a really great job on marketing, specifically top of funnel marketing and branding, is when people say exactly that. I see you everywhere. I've gotten that comment sometimes. So people in our group have said that. It's like, keep doing whatever you're doing. You want people to see you everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. For sure. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. And were you guys, so we covered social media, Facebook groups. Did you say you were running ads too?
We ran ads. We found some of our popular, most engaging pieces. We would pay for those to be advertised. Yes, we did, and
Okay.
we did LSA. We did pay per click. We had a marketing budget, but it wasn't big by any means. I want to say uh, our marketing spend was less than 2% of our revenue. I think at the end we may have been spending maybe $75,000 to $90,000 annually in marketing spend.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of these the videos that you guys made took off. Are there any like top ideas that maybe you could share to the audience, maybe ideas that they could borrow?
This is not an idea because I don't want to make anyone upset. But one of my favorite ads
Door knocking one?
was the door knocking one, and we have again a lot of loyal customers, and we had a door knocker come knocking on their door.
And so before you go ahead with this was free. This was absolutely free. You didn't have to pay anything for it.
I cut it up a little bit, but what we did was so we had a door knocker knocking on one of our customer stores. They sent us a Ring camera and interaction between the two. We blurred out their face and we had some like we opened it by do you wait, what was it, something like who are the pests, like are these guys the pests here, right, something like that, because it wasn't just the fact that they knocked on the door. It was the fact that we see that you are using Last Bite, right? um and then I turned the ad, so he says that, and then the ad says, yeah, because we're 100% satisfaction guarantee, or customers love us, or whatever it was. And then he goes into saying something else. And, but yeah, he was basically knocking the business to try and get a sale, and it wasn't working. I'll send you the video because it's pretty funny, and I think it's pretty creative also. It's out there somewhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
cameras were great. We had another one where we had a technician going knocking on a door, introduce himself. I am Jamal from Last Bite. And he went to go knock on a door, and a dog got loose, and you see our technician run towards the fence, jumped over the fence, and did a flip. What was the
I think that was like not only we good at killing mosquitoes, we're very athletic as well. Right. So the guy did a front flip over the fence.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I like those too, and I've seen maybe some other companies use things like the Ring camera. I think part of why that works so well is because it's so real and so authentic. Like, I mean, maybe now people would like fake an AI video like that, but at least a few years ago, seeing like the Ring camera, I mean, it doesn't get any more real than that. It is just a camera that's sitting there all the time. Things just happen to happen outside of the house, and you catch this crazy glimpse of something going on, and then you take advantage of that for marketing. So I'm a big advocate of that as well, of like use real unique stuff in your material and social media stuff.
Yeah. Those are fun. I like those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also, before we wrap up, I wanted to tie back to community involvement. You guys, you mentioned all of the ways, the interesting, unique ways you got involved in your community. But for someone, let's say someone is either new to an area or maybe they've just never gotten involved in their community for whatever reason. How do you start getting involved in your community?
The chambers, find the local chamber, go to the week monthly meetings that they have, shake hands, pass out cards.
I want to emphasis, be authentic, right? Like throwing $500 at a little league is not going to convert into customers. Throwing $500 at a little league and then showing up to 2 games, 3 games with a box of donuts and cheering on the team, that is where you're going to get your return of investment, is by doing little things like that and being authentic and celebrating, the teams and the wins and those victories, that or just being part of those moments. That's how you actually make a difference there.
Yeah. So Jason, and I, we did those things all the time. And another thing, I brought this up probably in another podcast, but T-shirts, right? It has your logo on a bag of them. We donated about 500 T-shirts to a big town called Manalapan, and it was a flag football. 500 T-shirts that these kids are going to wear weekly. Parents are washing them, they're folding them, and what's the first thing they're going to see? It's going to be your logo.
Yeah.
Right. So Jason and I, we would donate them, and it's minimal, $1,000, maybe $1,500 to get all those T-shirts made. And we would go to these games. You only have to go to one, show up, shake hands, meet the board. People see you, maybe give out water bottles with your logo on.
Take a quick team photo, right? And then post that, right? I'm not waiting for the plaque to come in that's going to sit and collect dust. We're going to take a team. Do you mind if we take a team photo with you guys? We want to put it. Do you guys mind if we put it on our social page? No, go ahead. No.
But then you don't just put it on a social page. You also put it on the community page that you're in.
Right. So now the community sees that you're involved as well, right? And then they want to support you because they know that you're supporting them and their team.
Yeah.
And their community, right?
Definitely. Totally makes sense. And I love this organic, holistic approach that you guys have here. I know a lot of companies just door to door or mainly acquisitions or mainly Google ads. But I mean, like you were mentioning earlier in the show, I mean, this is, you're actually connecting with the community and being helpful. And, maybe the local baseball team needs money and you provide that, or, just the small things like the donuts too. Yeah.
You might have heard of this before, may have heard me say it before. You love your employees, you love your community, and you love community, people, and your community, your customers, and your employees. You love them three, they're going to love you back. And those are the three things that really matter within the business.
Amen. Well, sweet. I have one more question for you guys before we wrap up, which I asked all my guests, and that is, and I want to hear from both of you. What is your message to the pest control owners out there? What do you want to tell them? What do you think they need to know?
I'll go first. Keep your blinders on. Keep working hard. You guys are providing great service. You're in a service that is recession-proof. Believe in yourself and keep going.
My message to the pest control operators out there is always be looking to grow. I feel like one of the biggest things I tell people is if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. Always look for innovation. Don't get too comfortable. Set goals, right? Realistic, attainable goals that you're going to aim for and you're going to hit, and continue to level up year after year. Be patient with yourself. Understand you're all going to make mistakes, and it's part of life. Within relationships at home to being a operator to being an owner, we're all going to make mistakes. It's just part of life. We're just going to learn from them, shake off the dust, and keep going. So that would be my advice to any operator out there. And then to Jeremy's point, believe in yourself. For sure, if we were able to do this, anybody can do it. And again, it was hard. It wasn't easy. But we are proof that this could be done for sure.
Amen. And yeah, I know we didn't cover it in this show, but you guys come from very humble beginnings, per your words, and I find it so inspiring, and I think what you guys have done is just so awesome and so respectable.
Yeah, I believe in most people more than they believe in themselves, and that's a shame. I wish people believed in themselves as much as I did, in school, in life, but I truly believe that anybody can do anything as long as they put their mind to it and really focus and work hard at it.
Me too. Well, sweet. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. This has been great. I really appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. And where can people connect with you and find you guys online?
I would say LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Jason Julio, and also check out Blue Collar Twins. That's where we link up with the podcast. And I like to blog little things, life lessons. There's short blogs that I use AI to help write, but they're all my like perspective and on life and M&A and this journey. So Blue Collar Twins, LinkedIn, social media, Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep.
The blogs are on bluecollartwins.com.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then anything from you, Jeremy?
Jeremy Julio on LinkedIn and Instagram. And then we share obviously the Blue Collar Twins.
Awesome. Cool. All those links will be in the description. Thank you guys again for coming on. This has been a blast, and I hope we stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man.
Thank you, buddy.
You're the man, Dan.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey guys, Dan Leibrandt here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Pest Control Legends. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. I read every single one, and I really appreciate it. Now, that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.